missing out on anything when it comes to the show, especially the topics. So I'm being very careful to ensure that this problem does not happen. So today, I know I wanted to speak about a certain topic yesterday, but today, of course, you know there are breaking news, and today I am very happy to announce that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force seems to be making headway in a number of matters that are of public interest. Of course, I am referring to the 2024 murder of a 13-year-old Melchizedek Tixie. If you're not familiar with that case, Melchizedek Tixie was in his home when he was hit by what is believed to be a stray bullet and killed. 13 years old, a very by all accounts, this was a very enterprising young man, very well mannered, very well known in the community, and his life was taken, just 13 years old, innocent, by what we're guessing is a stray bullet. Now, at the time he died on the 31st of July 2024, I don't know if any of you, well, you should remember that because this case was sensational. It made the news, and it was just a really tragic incident. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force, I am happy to announce, have arrested 2 suspects so far in that incident. But what really hurts St. Lucia is the fact that these are young men. And when I say young men, I'm talking about young men in their 20s. One of these young men, one of these individuals, had been on the run for over 2 years since the incident. Oh my goodness, we seem to be experiencing some internet issues on the Facebook platform. Lord, I am crossing my fingers that I don't have to endure the stress, because that's how it started, guys. Remember? It started with sticking, and then all of a sudden, we had a full-blown internet blackout. And I am praying, cross your fingers, cross your toes, that this is not the same issue, because I don't want to deal with Digicel again. Please spare me. Somebody pray for me. I'm kidding, guys. So yes, young men, and when I say young men, the perpetrators in this incident, the shooting death of Melchizedek Tixie, in their early 20s. One of these young men, the one who the police just charged yesterday, he had been on the run, eluding police for um 2 years, because we're in 2026, right? Yeah, nearly 2 years eluding police, and he was arrested in Dominica and repatriated to St. Lucia to answer for his crimes. And I, for one, would like to send a heartfelt thank you to the Dominican police for putting this criminal, or helping put this criminal behind bars, and for providing some sort of closure to Melchizedek's family. Well, the hair is looking really crazy today, guys. These headphones are not doing me any favors. So, I want to play you a clip from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force communications team, where they talk about the incident and how they were able to recover this particular individual. But somebody also, one of the family also sent me a video where this individual was recovered from the Dominican police. And also, that's not all on crime today. Today we're talking about crime. But we also, I am happy to report that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has made headway in solving the murder of Krishan Biscom, which happened earlier this month. And if you're not familiar with that name, Krishan Biscom was the security guard who was unfortunately shot during the armed robbery attempt at Falcon Mart, which was formerly Wintrade's supermarket in La Claire. Guys, would you believe the person who was brought to justice for that crime, a Jamaican national, living in St. Lucia? We don't have all the information. We don't know how long he has resided in St. Lucia. We don't know if he has St. Lucian relatives or any roots in St. Lucia. But this individual was living here. We don't know for how long, but decided to take the life of another young man who was simply trying to earn a living. Now, Again, I want to say kudos to our law enforcement officials who worked tirelessly, diligently to solve these crimes. And I must say that the police seem to be really stepping up their crime fighting efforts. As much as you don't want these crimes to occur, but it does give you a sense of satisfaction when you hear that the police have cracked down on these individuals, and they cracked down on them in, in a short space of time. And I must say that the police are working diligently to restore the public's faith in their efforts. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's working. So these are just two of the police incidents that I want to talk about today. But I do want to bring you these reports where the police speak about capturing these individuals, the one in the Melchizedek Tixie murder. And again, condolences to the family. Very happy that they can finally have some closure as to the life of their young one being cut so drastically short. So let me play you this clip from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, where the sergeant, I don't know if he's a sergeant, but he's the officer. Not sure of his rank, but I know he is at the upper echelons of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Sergeant Officer Stephen Fick. I prefer to say officer because I don't know his rank and I don't really want to say the wrong thing. But here he is. He is the officer in charge of the Southern Division. Let's let him give you more information on these incidents.
Details.
On 8th August 2024, Makili Simon of Blanchard de Rousseau was arrested and charged with the offense of murder committed on Melchizedek Gilbert Tixie. Makili Simon was later presented before the 2nd District Court at VA4 for arraignment. He was remanded in custody at the Bordelais Correctional Facility. A second male suspect, Mikhail Cooper, a 20-year-old male of Deriso Miku, who had fled the state after the incident, was recently apprehended on the island of Dominica for possession of controlled drugs. Through interagency cooperation, Makili Cooper has been in local police custody from Thursday, 22nd January 2026. On Monday, 25th January 2026, Mikhail Cooper was charged with the offense of murder on Melchizedek Gilbert Tixie. On Tuesday, 26th January 2026, Makili Cooper was arraigned before the 2nd District Court and was remanded in custody at the Bordelais Correctional Facility.
The gun amnesty, which began on Monday, 19th January, came to an end today.
Right. So this individual committed this murder, left. I don't know what's wrong. Somebody's saying it looks like the provider doesn't want you to talk about this topic. Another one says, "Hi Angie, I don't know if it's your internet or mine. We have a serious problem there." It is my internet. And please, guys, cross your fingers because it started like that the last time, and we ended up having a serious issue with Digicel. But somebody was doing some work and they messed up something at the pole. Let's hope that this is not an indication that this incident has reoccurred. I really can't deal with this. But if you are having issues with the let me advise people to use, if you are on our Facebook platform and you are having issues with the Facebook and it's sticking, please use the link that is pinned at the bottom of the comment section, because then you will get a direct link to the station and you're going to get me in real time and it's not going to affect what's going on. So please, because this topic is very, very important. So if you are tuning in on the Facebook platform and you're noticing, like me and other persons, that the Facebook platform is sticking and lagging, that's what it's called, lagging, gaming term, please switch to the, and if you don't have a radio, there is a link pinned at the bottom in the comments. Please switch to the link because you're going to get a straight, you're going to get your broadcast straight from the studio. So you're going to hear me. You might not see me properly on the Facebook platform, but you will hear me very clearly without any interruptions. I don't know what's going on, but let's hope Digicel can set it straight as soon as possible. Thank you. So, once again, so this individual committed this crime in St. Lucia, left the island, traveled to Dominica, where he didn't lay low. And no, he didn't lay low at all. He actually got involved in the trafficking or selling or whatever it is he did of illicit substances, because he was arrested in Dominica for possession of illegal substances. Could you believe that? He was apprehended by the Dominican authorities, and then he was taken back to St. Lucia. And someone sent me a video. I can't play it on here, but this is a video from the Dominican authorities showing in great detail how he was handcuffed and put in the back of a speedboat boat that looked like it belonged to the Coast Guard and transported very unceremoniously back to St. Lucia to answer for his crimes. So, very happy and thankful that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force were able to make some headway in that case. It isn't often, guys, that we have good news to report when it comes to crime on the island, but I do think that when the police get it right, they need applause. They need applause just the same way that they get the heat when they drop the ball. So kudos to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Now, the other one, the murder which happened in Leclerc last week, the police have a suspect in custody. This individual, like I said to you, a Jamaican national who was arrested and charged in the murder of 27-year-old Krishan Biscom. I take you now to WSPC Zane Romulus of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Communications team to bring us more information on this incident.
7-year-old Krishan Biscom. Yes, bringing you the facts from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The Major Crimes Unit has made a breakthrough in its investigation into the homicide of 27-year-old Krishan Biscom, who was shot and killed on Monday, 19th January 2026 at Leclerc Castries. On Saturday, 24th January 2026, Javier Cleveland Bailey, also known as J.A., a Jamaican national, was arrested in connection with this matter. He was formally charged on Tuesday, 27th January 2026 with the offense of capital murder. Bailey appeared before the First District Court on Wednesday, 20th January 2026, where he was remanded in custody. Meanwhile, another suspect who was arrested on Monday, 26th January 2026, remains in police custody assisting with investigations. Investigations into this matter continue as the Major Crimes Unit works to identify other assailants.
Now, you would recall that the initial reports from this incident mentioned at least 4 suspects who were involved in this shooting. It was said that 4 men fled the scene after the incident. So it seems that 2 of those gentlemen have now been arrested by police. And these individuals are in custody. One of them has been formally charged. That is Xavier Cleveland Bailey, the Jamaican national. He has been arrested by police and charged with the offense of capital murder. So, again, another victory for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, who seem to be as fed up with these crimes and intent on bringing these criminals to justice as the public is. Because I can tell you, I am fed up. with these incidents. Now, also, an incident that we spoke about on the show some time ago, you would recall, we spoke about the juvenile who was shot by police and a firearm was recovered on his person. So the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has released more information about that incident, and according to police reports, this individual was 16 years old. During a police operation, it was noticed that the individual was carrying a pouch which looked to contain a firearm. When the police attempted to engage this individual, the juvenile fled. He was pursued. I'm saying he, but they haven't released whether it was a male or a female. So let me say the juvenile was pursued by police, during which one round of ammunition was discharged, and the individual was struck in the lower body. The individual was treated for non-life-threatening wounds and released into police custody. Also, the police are reporting that upon searching this individual, they recovered a .40 caliber pistol. .40 caliber pistol and a magazine containing 6 rounds of ammunition. Now, you're 16 years old. How do you get your hands on a .40 caliber pistol and 6 rounds of ammunition? How? Where did it come from? As far as I know, there's no store you can just walk into all willy-nilly and say, I need to buy a gun. We don't have gun stores like that in St. Lucia. Or do we, that I'm not aware of? I don't see guns being sold at Massey when I do my shopping, or at CPJ. I don't see them. I've never walked through the Blue Coral Mall or the Baywalk Mall or the JQ Mall or any mall in St. Lucia and see a display guns for sale. And I know that asking, where are these firearms coming from, will always be a rhetorical question, because where there is a will, these criminals seem to find a way. But you're 16. You're supposed to be doing your homework. You're supposed to be thinking about the subjects that you are going to choose for CXC. You're supposed to be thinking about SBAs. You're on the streets carrying a pouch with a 40 caliber pistol and 6 rounds of ammunition? You're supposed to be thinking about choosing your CXC subjects. So, and what's more, are you aware that we don't have a proper, listen to me clearly, because I know people are going to come for me. We do not have a proper juvenile detention facility in St. Lucia. Yes, we do have the Boys Training Center in Massad Grosley, but we know how easy it is for individuals to abscond from that facility because they have been doing it for years. In fact, you would recall that there was a very unfortunate case just recently. And of course, I'm referring to a case that happened a couple of years ago where a juvenile a juvenile detainee of that facility absconded from the Boys Training Center, went to the residence of a lady in that same community and took her life. And that juvenile's mother was devastated. I remember this lady saying that she had noticed this behavior from this child from a very young age and had given him into the care of the officials at the Boys Training Center as a means of preventing him from engaging in these types of acts, and how devastated she was that he was able to leave the facility and take somebody's life. So, you would also recall that we were promised that the former George Charles Secondary School would be converted to a juvenile detention center where individuals could be placed for care and protection, as well as for juvenile offenses, because these are the two types of children that the state wards. So you have wards who are placed in the care of the state for care and protection, and you also have wards placed in the care of the state for juvenile offenses. And as it stands, these individuals mix freely, and there has been growing concern that children who are placed in the custody of the state for care and protection are being influenced by those in the care of the state for juvenile offenses. And that is both females and males we were referring to. But I haven't heard anything about this facility. Last we heard, the site had been picked out there had been a tour of the existing facility. Plans were being drawn up on how to convert the former school into a juvenile center. But that's the last that I remember. I don't remember anything else. I don't remember hearing about a groundbreaking, because you know the government loves a groundbreaking ceremony. They will break ground for just about anything in St. Lucia, and they will hand over buildings today and hand them back. They will hand over buildings today and then hand them back over tomorrow for work to continue. We've all had these experiences in the past year. So I'm pretty sure that if any work was done on that facility, we would all hear about it. But as it stands, I've heard nothing. And if any of you listening has heard anything concerning this facility, please, the phone lines are open. Enlighten us. The number to call, 572-3473. If you have pictures, videos, you could send them to our WhatsApp platform, 572-3473. But I do have a clip. Did I play this clip? I have a clip about, no, that's the Jamaican National, but okay. So, again, kudos to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I remember now. There is a clip. So, the clip I wanted to tell you about was an operation which took place in Soufrière, Palmist Soufrière. Those of you who've been following the news, you know that there have been a number of shootings in the Palmist area. There have been incidents where police, was it the police? No, I don't think it was police. Sorry, maybe I'm thinking of a different incident. Oh yes, so there have been several incidents of several shooting incidents, and unfortunately murders in the Palmist area of Soufrière as of late, where there has been no headway. These murders, as far as I know, remain unsolved. And I seem to recall that late last year there was a shooting in that area. So the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is reporting that they have conducted a major large-scale operation in that area and have recovered a number of illicit items. They're reporting about 9 arrests for crimes ranging from murder to aggravated burglary. Don't ask me what aggravated burglary is. I am not a police officer. I cannot tell you, but I can repeat what the police has reported. In fact, I can do you one better and allow the police to tell you themselves what they have done in this instance. So I take you now to WPC Zane Romulus. You would remember Zane from her days at DBS television, very prolific reporter. She's now a member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force communications team, letting the public know what the police is up to and, well, like she says it, the facts from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. So let me let Zane tell you what the police have been doing.
Along Central Highway in Vieux Fort. The operation involved officers from various units and departments of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Superintendent in charge of the 7th Division, Stephen Victorin, provides the details on the outcome of this operation.
A total of 23 such warrants were executed and 9 individuals were arrested on suspicion of having committed the offenses of murder and aggravated burglary. 2 12-gauge rounds of ammunition and a quantity of cannabis were discovered and seized during a search on a premise at Palmis Soufre. 2 individuals were arrested at that location and charges are expected to be preferred. 1 male was arrested for driving without a driver's license. That vehicle was impounded. I wish to reassure the community of Palmis that the police remains committed to collaboration with the community towards restoring a sense of safety.
There you have it, folks. 23 search warrants executed, 9 individuals arrested, one of them for driving without a license. And of course, the police are reporting that they've recovered a quantity of cannabis and other illicit substances. Now, when the police don't get it right, we are the first, as members of the public, to jump down their throats and hold them accountable. But when they do get it right, I believe it is important that we let the police know that we see them. We acknowledge their efforts and we appreciate them keeping us safe. So kudos to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I felt it very important for us to give the police a pat on the back for a job well done in this current escalated crime climate that we live. And I really want the public to be in the habit of supporting the police when they do it right. They don't always do it right. I'm going to be serious, because sometimes we really go down on the police for mistakes. We hold them accountable. We chastise them. According to the Prime Minister, we bring out the big stick. For example, in the case of Officer Tyson, we've been very critical of the police. But in this case, when the police have clearly done their work and done it well, I think it's important for us to say to them, kudos, great job. We see you and we appreciate your efforts. So let's discuss 572-3473. That's the number to call. The phone lines, of course, are always open on Hardtalk. We have the WhatsApp platform if you want to drop us a line. And if you want to call on WhatsApp, 572-3473. Also, that is the number for our landline if you want to call us there. And of course, there is always the Facebook platform. And boy, let me tell you, there are some true hard talkers on that Facebook platform. These people don't let anyone, including me, get away with anything. So that's what's happening, guys, in the crime neck of the woods. When crimes happen, we report them. And I feel it is important that when the police solve these crimes, that we report it as well, so that people know that our police are working. Now, yesterday, we discussed comments made by Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, and we also discussed comments made by Dr. Ernest Hilaire, and what these comments could mean. Now, it is futile to ask these individuals, especially Dr. Hilaire, to explain to the public what he meant by the statements he made at that meeting, because we all know that Dr. Hilaire never has an explanation for anything that he does. He always either has to ask somebody to give him permission to tell us the information that we want to know, or by the time we've asked him, he's forgotten, he doesn't know. So you don't expect to get any sort of explanation from this individual. And good luck trying to get the Prime Minister to step in and restore law and order, because he doesn't hear, he doesn't see, he doesn't know. And the list goes on and on and on. So it really is futile attempting to hold these individuals accountable for their actions and their comments. But that doesn't mean that we are going to stop asking the questions if we have to, especially here on Hard Talk. So let's continue with our broadcast. We're going to stop for a quick commercial break, and then we're going to continue with the rest of the broadcast.
You already know the power of Lix products on your clothes and household. You lix your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You lix your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You lix your floors, even lix your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And lix those stains off of colored clothes with Lix Color Scent Bleach. Lix works even further with body care body soap bars, deodorant, and antibacterial. So lix tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products giving you Lix? Then choose Lix from Grenade Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
All right, we're back on Hard Talk here on Fire 107.7 FM. We do apologize for the internet connection, which is very, very iffy, especially on the Facebook platform. But I assure you, this situation is beyond our control. We don't provide internet here on Fire FM. We simply use what is available. And if you are experiencing technical issues with the internet connection, don't panic. There is a link pinned to the bottom of the comment section. Please click that link for a direct line to the studio, where you will get the broadcast free and clear of any lagging from the internet. Also, feel free to switch to your radio. The 107.7 FM signal broadcast is up and running and very strong. And I assure you, there are no interruptions on that front. So let's go back. So yesterday we were discussing the tax situation in St. Lucia. And we spoke about the Prime Minister saying to the St. Lucian public that, we expect we're going to have surpluses, but he hasn't seen the numbers. He does not know what they will be. They have not been fully compiled. But he's predicting that they're going to run surpluses in every sector of the economy is growing. But he's also saying that they're disappointed with the tax collection efforts. Persons have not been paying their taxes, and the government is about to step up their tax amnesty programs. And if, like me, you are confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused by these statements, join the club. Because the Prime Minister was also asked about his fiscal policy. And the only fiscal policy that the Prime Minister has put forward, yes, you guessed it, more tax. Now, of course, I'm not averse to paying taxes, because taxes are the citizenry's contribution to the running of the country. You know, you want proper roads, you want a working healthcare facility or healthcare system, and you also want all the basic amenities. You want proper education, you want a good airport. You need to pay taxes. Somebody's asking a question here. Let me read this statement. It says, "Hello, good day, Angie. We need to know how many CIP citizens," I think that person meant citizenships. "We need to know how many CIP citizenships were sold and to whom, so we can know the population of St. Lucia as of now. Trump is on the ball because I think some black people have to be enslaved again." Oh man, so this is strong language. But it continues. "For a CARICOM national to come and kill someone in our supermarket, in our community, I understand Trump's purpose. And we should do the same here to people that come here with only crime purposes. Poor leadership will not understand this simple exercise. People need to feel safe in their country. Hang him or send him back." Well, to be honest with you, caller, I noticed that this individual has been charged with capital murder. And capital murder, to my untrained mind, tells me that this is probably a crime that might attract capital punishment. But when I read it, I was thinking that I have not had the opportunity to have someone in the law enforcement field to explain that to me. Because, you know, there are different charges. You can have aggravated assault, you can have manslaughter, you can have murder. And this one is capital murder. We normally have one or two retired police officers listening to the broadcast, and I would really appreciate one of them, if Mr. Foster Chico, by the way, is listening, or any of the other officers. Mr. Jan Gustav is a regular listener as well. If one of you guys could chime in, I know there are several other officers, police officers, retired and otherwise, who listen to this broadcast. If one of you could chime in and just explain to us what the difference is between murder and capital murder, we would be very appreciative. But it did come to mind the relationship between persons coming to St. Lucia and committing that kind of crime. And it brought me back to thinking about those deportees that the Prime Minister has agreed to accept from the United States. Because you would recall that Jamaica just suffered a devastating hurricane, that would be Hurricane Melissa, where, based on the pictures I saw, I'm pretty sure several Jamaicans have packed up and left the country in search of greener pastures in other CARICOM territories. And you're right. We don't know if this individual had a criminal record back home in Jamaica. But this individual came here to St. Lucia. We don't know why. We don't know when. We don't know how long he has been living here. If he has relatives in the area. If he is like you say, a CIP citizenship holder, which I doubt, because you don't need CIP citizenship to move about and live in other Caribbean territories, because of course we are part of CARICOM, and as such we subscribe to the single market and economy. And I'm just thinking that you don't even need a passport to travel between CARICOM territories. You can simply do so with your ID card. And this individual came to St. Lucia and has reportedly committed an armed robbery which cost a young man his life. Now, the commenter, the listener is saying hang him or send him back. But do we still hang perpetrators in St. Lucia? Because I do recall there was a whole hue and cry from the UN and from all those international